morning, this is Mark Wharton at Stormwater Professionals Group. I'm here today with a new blog segment that I'm doing. It's called What Were They Thinking? And the reason that I decided to do this video instead of on paper like I've been doing a bunch of blogs the last couple of years is because I think on the page in the written word things can get a little confused and convoluted maybe, and I don't want to offend anybody, because what we're doing in this segment is we're going out to detention ponds and to systems and kind of taking a look at different things and mostly failures. We'll look at some good successes too, maybe some repairs, but initially we're going to take a look at some failures with the idea really of becoming better designers. So this isn't to shame anybody. We're not going to tell you where we're at ever. We're not going to tell you who did the work or who did the design. Sometimes the problem is in design, sometimes it's in execution. But either way, we're gonna call that out, and then we're gonna talk about maybe a better way to do some of these things, with the idea again of become better designers. So today we're gonna look at this. It's a small detention pond. It is a stormwater quality pond. But what I want to highlight here is a couple different things. If you take a look at the pond, you can see there's a bunch of rills over on this side, and there's standing water in the pond as well. There's a lot of erosion that's already happened. This is a fairly new pond. It was probably built I think about a year ago, maybe. The customer took delivery of it. So what the problem here is, though, is a couple different things. It's not in design. It's really all in execution on this one. So the problem is, you take a look at these areas here, and you can see how we have zero vegetation on some of these slopes, minimal vegetation. We've got some rilling down here, and then back over here we've got these vertical lines that you can see on the grass. This is just areas where the grass took, but in the middle it obviously didn't take. The problem here is really all in execution, like I said. When you're using a tractor, it's a tracked piece of equipment. I'm sorry, when you're using a dozer, it's a tracked piece of equipment. And so typically what you'll see a contractor do is he'll go around the pond in kind of a racetrack fashion to do his final grade. And what happens then is you get the in this direction that way. And so you're creating rills that just later become pathways for the water to channel down and then create even more erosion, so it exacerbates the problem. The real way to fix that, or not, to avoid that, is to run the tractor the dozer instead of this way, is to come up and run back and forth up the slope, but that requires that you move to the next spot to do the next section. That takes time. Most dirt contractors won't do that. If you're not going to do that, drag it with a chain. Don't leave it like this. This is just creating more problems. And so that could be easily corrected. Another problem that I'm seeing here is that this was probably using a stabilized, meaning hydromulch, using the cheapest paper mulch you can get. We never recommend that on slopes. It's not really designed for that purpose. If you want to stabilize a slope, you have to use something a little more substantial. Use a tackifier. There are great products by Profile. FlexTerra is a really great product. We recommend that for slope stabilization. It's pretty instant, pretty immediate. It cures in a couple hours, and then you won't have any movement on the slope. It holds the soil in place. That comes with a cost, but at the end of the day, what's the cost of coming out here and regrading this again and again and again, hoping for a different result? That's insanity, right? So let me take you over here and show you the issue. And really, this is just a result of all the erosion and the lack of stabilization. So we can tell by, let me walk over here with you. You can tell that this is a stormwater quality pond, because over here, if you take a look over here, you'll see this trash screen. That's indicative of a stormwater quality permitted pond. I will tell you, we are in Harris County, but in Harris County, you have to have some kind of a screen if you have a detention pond and you want to use it as your stormwater quality feature. Now, what that means in the real world is that every year, this pond has to be permitted in a year. Well, looking like this, it's not going to pass its permit. The big problem that we've had here, though, is that we've got standing water that's never going to go away. That, combined with the rills, make it not permittable. Because of the rills, because of the erosion that we've had, think about what's going on here is all the water, as rain events hit and the water comes into the pond, it all is trying to move to the same area, to this outfall area over here. So let me show you. You can see this area here that's built up. This is all silt and sediment that's come from those slopes and migrated over this away. So the problem that you have is you can see that the outfall structure is high and dry. That water, this water here will never make it into there, the outfall. And so you also can see there's a bunch of algae. That's pretty indicative of a standing water pond. But you can also see the bottom, so it's only a couple inches. So what that means is that if this stays like this throughout the summer, we'll probably see a strong growth of cattails. Once you get cattails in a pond, it's like bamboo. They're very difficult to get rid of. You can try to cut them, they'll come right back. The only way to really fix it is to flood them. So what that means is cut them at the water line as low as you can, and then add water to the pond to flood those stalks. Nobody's gonna do that here. None of this will happen. The best way to really resolve this is to regrade the bottom in this area, regrade the slopes, get some good stabilization, get the grass growing. Once the grass is growing, it'll hold everything in place. You won't have this movement of dirt anymore. So I hope that helps. Again, we're not trying to call anybody out or anything or try to offend anybody, but we're just trying to help our community become better at stabilizing slopes, at grading ponds, and not looking at this as an afterthought. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up, contact me. I'm on LinkedIn, website, however you want to. I can help with any of the problems you have. If you have a detention pond that has an issue, if you have a slope stabilization problem, if you have any kind of grading issues, we can always help. So feel free to give us a call. We'll see you next week. Thanks.